already place out. We can put this here. You got it.
It's cold.
It's cold.
And it's very late at night.
Recording,
Hello everybody. Welcome to this brand new episode of our YouTube channel. My name is Ga-Pholushe. It's a very, very, very cold evening. There's a cold front that's coming in from Cape Town. But no stress. I'm with my warm wife.
Warm wife.
Over here.
Ga-Pholushe.
So, in this episode, Nabafetune, we are basically continuing what we were speaking about in the previous episode, and that was, what is it like being married to each other? In that episode, we discussed, in brief and very vaguely, we spoke about expectations that were not met. But we really didn't go into what these expectations were, because in full honesty, when I'm talking, we got off to a very rocky marriage because of these expectations. And now, a few years into our marriage, being much better communicators, we realize the importance of the need that we had to communicate back then.
Yes.
But we really didn't. In fact, as we are doing these videos, we are getting to understand more and more the importance of communication. So as we are doing this episode now, we've actually learned from the previous episode, because we've sat down and said, baby, what were your expectations? And that's the first time I actually asked you this question.
Exactly.
And we're nearly
true.
10 years together.
Imagine.
So, I'll start when I baby, because in the previous one you started. My expectations when I baby, having been raised in a home to married parents, I had gender specific roles in mind. Me wa tlina lapa wa pia o hlokomela bana, she's a nurturer. And I wanted to become the provider, become the strength of the home, to be a father, to be the hustler, to be the one who brings in the bread. And so, what were your expectations?
My expectations, guys. My expectations were to marry a partner that would be 50-50 with me, equal.
Like in the feminist sense?
Yeah, in the feminist sense of understanding, yes. And of course as well, a provider and someone who provide emotional support as well. Yeah, I don't think I had a long list of expectations, because we got married very young. And I believe that I was not ready for marriage. Yeah.
So, cool, interesting. Where we clashed in particular was this 50-50 idea, you know. Listen, 50-50 is half the responsibility to the other.
To the other.
And this 50-50 when I pay work, now looking back, when we are honest about it, it wasn't really a 50-50.
No, it wasn't. It was very unfair situation.
Unfair how? In which direction? Unfair to who?
It was unfair to you, I believe, because when you look at the idea of 50-50, you share the responsibilities of the home, including those of finances, equally. But the moment someone, where in our case, you were bringing in the bacon in the home, and I was also expecting you to help with the chores. Not to just help, but to have assigned, chores that you do around the house. And at that time, I was not working, So that was not a fair situation. That was not 50-50.
So basically, what you're describing is, you know how, let's say, well, this is how when women normally describe this unfair 50-50, you find that maybe they are both working, and when they both come back from work, one is tasked with the chores, but then ready 50-50. So in this case, in our relationship, it was kind of reversed. I being into, so both of us don't have jobs, right? I'm an entrepreneur, and into when a people work, you haven't worked for a few years, I get, and quite recently because we have a baby, but prior to that, because of those spiritual issues and problems that you were experiencing.
Whenever you'd find a job.
I get. We talked about it in a previous episode where you were experiencing some spiritual turmoil. But anyway, we now get into a marriage where we both don't work. But I am pretty much working because I've been hustling. I've started a business. And so on top of the business that I'm running and my pursuit to bring in the bread, you were also expecting for me to have a schedule at the dishes.
Yes.
I get. When it's time to clean, I should have my corner there that I'm cleaning. I get. When we had our baby girl, I get. You sometimes wanted me to keep a ngwana. I get. I did it out of the fun of it. At first, it was kind of funny. I felt, hey, let me just get into this and do it. But you started, wanting me to do it on a regular,
consistent basis.
I get. And that's where we really started clashing, and I felt like, but no, this is an 80-20 now. My expectation was that I would play the role of bringing the money, paying for where we live, switching on the electricity, having the internet running, basically keeping us alive. And I was expecting that you would take care of everything else outside of that.
Yes.
You see. So, looking back now, why would you say you had the expectations that you had? Where did this idea of this marriage, of this kind of marriage come from? Where it came across very odd for me, or as we were getting married, you started wanting me to do dishes and whatever. Because even at my home, we had a helper. So for a long time, I wasn't doing dishes. I wasn't ironing anything. I wasn't cleaning anything. So it shocked me for us to suddenly get married, and now I'm having to do things that I haven't done in 10 years. When you first met me and you were introduced to my family, there was a helper. Where did that come from when I'm talking?
for me, it came from childhood experience or
upbringing.
Yes, childhood upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Where go ahead, so we were assigned tasks, equally, if I were to say, yeah. Making an example, nerelema as banyana, ka mokgomo wa kgale o loreng ko pele tla be le maila le busy lena ka mogoma ka motshemong. So would also go re lo ga metsi ka ditonkana, ka didromo, and you probably knew because those are masculine tasks.
Mm-hmm.
But we were assigned to do them. Like my grandparents were like, no, in our home, there's no such a thing where there's a girl chore and there's a boy chore. You can do these things equally so. So with that, and also adding up friends, the influence of friend, they tell you, you need to get married to a guy who will be equal with you, because if you guys are not equal, then it makes no sense, and what else? All the people that I was associated with, or all the people they were in my social network, growing up. There were people who had the feminist idea to say that 50-50. It's either 50-50 or nothing. And another thing it was that there was no guidance, when I got married. Aban lie to say that this is how you appropriately need to take care of your family, of your marriage, the support. No, there was nothing like that. So I can initially say that maybe the grooming that they did, I was just expected to take control and take charge of my marriage.
So they just let you off on your way.
Yes.
To go and figure it out.
Yes.
And you see, those are some of those differences that we really clashed with, because me being raised by a pastor, my father Gimuruti, he's a proper man of God, that one, right? Being raised by a pastor, there were a lot of people at my home who were being counseled by my parents. So growing up as a child, I knew a lot of people's problems. As a kid, as a teenager, I'd be in my room listening to couples arguing in the living room until 2 or 3
a.m.
Until a.m., right? So I knew that, no, man, there's a particular way that this thing is done.
It's done, yes.
And I had it in my mind, Me and my parents, we never really sat down and they say, hey, this is what marriage is going to be, this is what it's going to be. That they preached about it quite a lot, whenever there would be marriage seminars or not just marriage seminars, but there would also be a couples conference, married couples, conference. Yeah, that's what we call them, kiddie conference. We would be playing the instruments. I get, or we'd be connecting the stuff, and we'd be sitting in church as
listening.
There's a church service addressing
couples
and marriage. We would legit be sitting there as teenagers,
listening.
Hey, like in an uncomfortable little corner, really listening to even the sexual details, the intimate stuff, you see. So I had an orderly understanding of marriage. I was guided, not necessarily by being sat down, but by listening as people were being counseled at home,
The upbringing.
attending these seminars, I'd be listening. So I had a structured idea of how things should run. I understood that there needs to be roles because God created us differently. That's the truth. That's what I believe till today. When we say that we're not really equal in a relationship, we're not talking about equality in terms of value. In terms of value, we are equal, baby. We're equal before God. We are equally valuable. We're just talking about the fact that there's no real equality in terms of our roles. You understand? I can't expect you to fight physical battles and protect us when there's a break-in, for example. I can't really call you up to say, go and defend our son when he's being bullied. So the roles are specific. If you maybe view that as roles being unequal or whatever, it's not like that. We are equal in importance, but we are different in our roles, and that's a fact. You see,
roles and responsibilities as well.
Yeah. So when I be work, we clash then when it comes to our chores. Yeah? And then when it came to our finances, this is something that I remember. Meeting you, I was a hustler. Still am. Nothing has changed.
Saved a lot.
Ne? I saved a lot of money. I was dedicated to getting out of the hood. Ne? I was dedicated to making a different life for myself. So growing up, I always had money. Ne? And with it, I spoiled you and a bit.
And you did a lot.
From high school. In high school, you had an iPhone 4.
4 and a BlackBerry kind of king.
No, that was probably the first phone I bought you, a BlackBerry. But thereafter, you had an iPhone 4 and a Samsung S5.
Yes, like imagine 2 phones.
Check now, there's an S22 one. S5. You had that. You had 2 phones.
I had 2 phones in high school.
Going to school. In high school, in grade 11. Ne? You see. So, having spoiled you and a babe, treated you nicely like I did. When we got married, we already now had a 4-year-old son. I was panic-stricken, about taking on this responsibility of accommodating us, because it was a lot of pressure. And actually went to a psychologist who told me that, bro, you are struggling to cope. I couldn't admit it at the time because there was a lot of money available and it kind of, covered my anxiety. But I was really stressing out. Yeah? So when we now got married and we moved in together, you kind of expected me to keep the good things coming.
Yeah, the good things coming. Yeah, you can describe that or you can compare it to a child who is very spoiled to a point where they start feeling entitled.
Yes.
To their wants.
Yes.
Not really needs, but those are wants.
Yeah. So I found myself now, baby, overburdened, to be honest. I found myself overburdened, and this 50-50 that you were thinking of was an 80-20 now.
Yeah.
You see. And I had to do dishes, I had to keep and I had to bring the pretty things coming.
That was before baby nyana thing. That was on our first year when we got here.
Yeah, 2019 when we got here. You see, so I got overburdened with those things, and it led to the next thing now. I saw that I had to work extra hard, twice as hard, given the fact that we now had a second baby as soon as we got together, because we got straight to Wantola when I said. So having baby Nyana, we're still calling our little daughter baby Nyana. She's 2 now. She's becoming a toddler, but still baby Nyana. So having another baby, I felt like, hey man, I needed to work even harder. And with working even harder, I became committed more to the work, while you started needing more intimacy from me. You needed more emotional support, because pregnancy definitely rocked your emotions in the worst way.
Yeah,
I saw it with the first child, and with our second baby, it was just as chaotic.
Yeah.
You see, so
double the chaos.
So you started lacking intimacy and support.
Ne? I did.
Aish, Baban. So what else, when baby? Our goals and directions in all.
Yes.
If I can just summarize, we became misaligned very much at that point, because we didn't really know where we wanted to go and how we wanted to get there. And so as we got into this situation that we didn't communicate, and circumstances like having a baby was happening, and circumstance like having to work harder was happening, we were just getting deeper into this hole
of chaos and conflict.
You understand? But now looking back, when a baby, for those who are listening out there, who are about to get married, or who are married and they are finding that things are going left and right, we hope that they'll come to recognize that this is something that happens.
It happens, especially if your expectations are not spoken, You're going to have a lot of arguments, a lot of conflicts. So it's very important to communicate. Don't assume that because your partner is a man, your partner is a woman, they know, You need to communicate that expectation so that they can know. It's simple, but it's not as simple as we say it.
Okay. Now, it's clear, when a baby, it's very important to discuss what you view your marriage as before you get into it. But if you're already into it, right, and you're already married, it's never too late to start developing a very strong communication.
Yeah.
And I urge you, the sooner that you can talk, the better.
The better.
Because things that go unspoken, they develop grudges that you don't actually realize until you find yourself very overburdened. A lot of what could have been said, you've let it go, but it never really went.
Yeah, you didn't let it go, actually.
You didn't let it go at all.
You just dragged it under a carpet.
Yeah, just swept it underneath the carpet, and those skeletons start to creep up. And because time is such a funny thing, man, details get distorted, memories get lost. When you now try to discuss an issue from 2 years ago, or feelings from 3 years ago, your memories of it are scattered, and before you actually get to the emotions that you're trying to discuss, you're going to go through a lot of inaccurate details. You're going to debate, was that really like that? Did I really say that? I don't really remember that. And then it gets harder and harder to find each other if you didn't talk. So if you haven't spoken, start speaking. For me, that is enough. I felt like I've been very energetic this episode, babe.
You have, hey?
Have I?
You have.
I think I'm getting very confident.
That's good. And one thing we also have to understand, babe, is that we grow
Yeah.
we change. So your partner never stays the same.
Absolutely.
Because when I look back at my younger self compared to right now, I can tell you, I acknowledge the growth. And I start to see the patience and the kindness that my husband has had. And I do not take that for granted, you see.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that you need to always make a priority in your relationship. Whether you're 2 years together, 3 years together, you know, your partner is going to evolve. He's going to change.
Yeah.
And you need to adapt with that.
Yeah, and with the passage of time, things that go unspoken, as the people in the relationship evolve, when you now bring up something from 2 years ago, right, the current person feels judged
Yes.
by what you are talking about back then,
Back
because they
then.
feel like, I'm no longer
But-
that person.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're not really bringing it up to judge the current person. You're just really venting and letting the emotions get out. So, like I say, it's very important to start speaking as soon as possible, because you are constantly evolving. The memories are getting foggier. You know, the details are getting lost. The emotions are getting buried. And it becomes very difficult to exhume them and bring up a topic today of something that happened 2 years ago.
2 years ago, 3 years ago. We still talk about things that have happened 5 years ago.
Yeah. When are people? I think I think we've had a great episode. I think we've spoken well enough about this. Ne?
Yeah, we'll do another video
Yeah.
if you'd like for us to further.
Yeah, because, and we always say this in every episode, because as we speak about it, we realize how much more deeper of these avenues there are, because we can discuss a lot about friends and how they influenced you. I know a whole lot about that. I know the friends that you had. You know, we can speak about certain, you know, events where I really saw them guiding you in the wrong direction, right? And Kileka Inyata, that thing, I looked down on it and said, nah, man, there's no way that you can convince my baby to think like that. But then when I actually found that it had worked on you, it was very disappointing. But hey, we will speak about that another day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this episode and you've watched it so far, we thank you, we love you, we enjoy you, and we hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Click like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Click the notification.
Click the notification bell. Sekgowa molume. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see you next time. God bless you. Be well, be
Stay
safe,
warm.
Stay warm, and communicate.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.